Good morning, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and get started because I like to be conscientious of people's time. Thank you guys for coming to our second speaker for Black History Month. Our goal this month is to celebrate our Black historians that are actively doing things in the community. I like to give people their flowers while they're here. So that's what we're doing. We're celebrating people that are doing the things. We're going to have questions at the end, so if you all have questions, feel free to raise your hand and ask them, okay? I'm going to introduce our speaker. Shannon Whitfield was born on July 14, 1996 in Kinston. Raised in Lenoir County, he completed his education through Lenoir County Public Schools before pursuing higher education at Fayetteville Technical Community College. We will not hold that against him here on the During this time in college, Shannon displayed an entrepreneurial spirit by founding Whitfield Mortuary Transportation Service, a business dedicated to the professional transportation of the deceased. His passion for the funeral service industry led him to earn his degree in mortuary science. After completing his studies, he successfully passed the National Funeral Service Examination, obtaining his license as a North Carolina funeral director. Following his education, Shannon migrated back to his hometown of Kinston, where he continued to build his career and fulfill his lifelong passion for funeral service. His dedication and hard work led to the realization of his dream, establishing his own funeral home, Whitfield Mortuary, LLC. Through this business, he remains committed to serving families with compassion, professionalism, and excellence. From childhood, Shannon consistently remained dedicated to ministry through funeral services, seeing it as more than a profession, but as a calling to support and guide families during their most difficult times. In addition to his career, Shannon is a proud father of 3 who inspire him daily. Outside of work, he enjoys spending time engaging in his favorite hobbies, including bowling, fishing, shopping, cooking, and horseback riding. Shannon Whitfield continues to make an impact on his community, combining his faith, passion, and expertise to provide exceptional funeral services in the funeral industry. So join me in welcoming Mr. Shannon Whitfield.
Good morning, everyone. I'm used to the ones that I talk to, they don't talk back, all right? So I need a better good morning than that. So we're going to try this one more time. Good morning. Good morning. One more time. I think we can do a little bit better. All right? Good morning, everyone. Good morning. That's a little bit better, but I'm not going to hold it against you because you're Lancers. All right, so listen, I am super stoked today. I speak about funeral services a lot, more than a little bit, to various crowds. I'm more so stoked today because I have people under 40 in my attendance. and really, because most of the people I speak to when they want to talk about funeral services, it's literally end of stage, it's end of life. They are not necessarily preparing to die, but they see life has already happened, and life has already flashed before their eyes. They know that they're on the downward slope of life itself, but I never have the crowd under 40. Now, I'm not knocking anybody under 40 because I'll get to y'all too in a little bit, all right? But as of right now, I am targeting 40 and under, all right? What I want to do, before I even get into funeral services, I just want to be an advocate for this. Number one, let's talk about entrepreneurship, all right? And I hope y'all didn't, Ms. Wilson, I hope you didn't think I was just gonna come in here and talk the whole time. I want some engagement from everybody, okay? So I need some volunteers, or actually before I even get there, if you plan on being an entrepreneur or seeing an entrepreneur in your future, I need you to raise your hand. If you see I need to raise high. If you already flunking the game already, if you want to be an entrepreneur. If you want to be an entrepreneur and you see entrepreneurship in your future, I need you to raise your hand. Raise your hand. Hi. All right, so we have we have about 3 people in here. All right. So I guess we're done. We're done for today. At this point, right? So, entrepreneurship. All right. So I hand in the back. I want you to tell me, just shout out, if you had a business and you were about to open a business, what would that business be?
Bakery.
A baker. Okay. All right.
Yes, Lord.
All right. Another hand over here.
Chicken farm to raise eggs.
Chicken farm to raise eggs. Okay. All right. right, Corey, what you got? Funeral service. So we got some competition already. We got all right. So what I want to hit on this morning is entrepreneurship. Number one, I want you to realize, and let me before I even get there, we have some that are everybody in here college in this area, college students. Are y'all in college? All right. So not high school, but college. High school, college. Okay, early college. All right. So you have the world in front of you right now. All right. And okay, let's start with you on the end. What's your name? Jacob. All right. So you did not raise your hand for entrepreneurship, but what do you see yourself doing when you graduate? Okay. What steps are you making to get there?
Well, right now, trying to get more science classes.
Okay. All right. So the world, and I want this room to be uncut, a safe space, unraw, and unfiltered. Okay. The world has painted, and I want to speak from my personal expertise. Educators, I want y'all to close your eyes. All right. Go close your ears. The world has painted the picture that if you make good grades, you go to school, you do everything you're supposed to do, and that you're the perfect student, that your business is going to be amazing. It's going to boom. It's going to be there. You're going to make a whole lot of money, and you're going to have everything that you need at your fingertips. Well, I'm that guy that's 28 years old right now that started a business. I'm literally 2 years in that can say that is absolutely not true. Okay? I was not the best student. I strived, but I was not the best student, right? But if I had somebody that was straight A's, did what they were supposed to do, and nailed it every time they took a test, and had a 4.0 GPA, went to a 4-year college, ultimately earned their doctorate, that still would not prepare you for the business world. Okay? There's one word where I want to sum up this room, and that should be in the heart of each and every one of you. And that word should be passion. Even those of you who are in the workforce already, maybe not even thinking about opening your own business, but what is the reason that you get up every day to thrive? What's the reason that your heart beats? Do you just get up just to survive? Do you get up to provide for your family? What is the reason that you get up every day? Does passion beat in your heart? Ms. Wilson, when you get up every day, is LCC your heart and what's something that you love to do? That's a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer it. When you get up, and you got up this morning and you put your black hoodie on, Miss Magic Lady, did you absolutely love coming to school? Because that's what you just knew you wanted to do this morning? On a Friday, even on Valentine's Day. All right? All right. So I need for you to be making steps to finding what that passion is in your heart. All right. I want to make another point is that a lot of people, you find what you want to do, and you get on Google, and you find the perfect major, and you base that major based upon what? How much they make. Well, they make 60 grand a year. You know what? I'm about to go deliver babies. I'm about to do it. And you have absolutely no background, no reasoning behind wanting to go deliver babies besides the fact that it's money involved, right? Well, I want to challenge each and every one of you today to not base what you want to do based upon money. Because guess what? You can have all the money in the world, but you still won't be happy. But guess what? My lady back here, she can open her bakery and be passionate about what she does. No matter if she does it, and that's something else I want to hit on. No matter if you don't make any money, because I get up every day and go to work. But just because I get up every day and go to work does not mean I make any money. But at the end of the day, I'm passionate about what I do. I'm passionate about the families that I serve. All right? You in the black shirt, I need you to tell me. What's your name?
Jeremiah.
Jeremiah. What do you want to do?
I want to be an astronomer.
Astronomer. All right, why do you want to be an astronomer?
I really like space a lot.
Okay. What steps are you making to get there?
I guess like taking more science classes like you said.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So this is the thing. And people told me the same thing. You will say, people will ask you the question about what you want to do. You will say something like being an astronomer. And people will look at you like you're crazy. Why do you want to be an astronomer? Why do you want to do that? Well, I want you to also, number 3, push past the negative energy in the lives of others. If I would have listened to everything I would have heard, because I started in the funeral business at the age of 10. It happened just literally almost just by happenstance. So I was a 10-year-old little boy, and we were church-going people, and we went to a funeral. My mom and I, we went to a funeral. And my mom was friends with the funeral director, and she says, "Mr. Swenson, my son needs a job at 10. He says, "You know what? We got a funeral tomorrow. He can come." I put on my suit, went to the funeral, and one funeral turned into two funerals. Two funerals turned into my weekends being spent at the funeral home, my weekends being spent furthermore to my summer vacations, to be skipping class to go to funerals. Right? Everybody was like, "Whitfield, why is it that I just knew it was in my heart. I had no verbiage of what it was. I just knew that was what I was supposed to do." And everybody, even my mom, after she set me up to do it, she absolutely hated it. She says, "I can see you being a doctor, I can see you being a lawyer, I can see you doing anything else except for the funeral business." But I knew it was in my heart. I knew that's what I wanted to do. And so even when people look at you funny, and you want to go in space and do things that we don't typically do around here, then let's do it. What do you do? Talk to me. Yes, ma'am.
I administer scholarships and grants for the content side here at LCH.
Why do you show up to work every day? What's happening?
Helping students. That's the drive.
Okay, let's do it. All right, so I want to shift just a little bit, getting into the funeral services side of things. I want to now I do have a banker with me. He can help me out on some of this. And you're from the United Bank, correct?
I was with
Okay.
Self-Help Credit.
Okay.
Now I'm at the Small Business Center here at LCC.
Great, good deal. So if I venture out to left to right, get me back in the right direction. Okay. So funeral services itself, all right, it's something that we do not like to talk about. I stand here unequivocally and unapologetically to tell you that just as sure that you live, you're going to die. All right? No matter your religious belief, no matter your color, no matter how old you are, it's going to happen one day. And so I'm super stoked, not from the entrepreneur side, I'm super stoked to be here to inform you guys of the matter. Okay? Not to get spiritual or anything, but the Bible talks about this young man who had a daughter. And his daughter was very sick, and they called Jesus to come. And they knew that Jesus was going to come and save the day, because Jesus was going to perform miracles. And he knew that if Jesus could get to the scene, that his daughter would be made whole. They called Jesus, and in the time that Jesus was taken to get to his daughter, Jesus stopped to perform miracles all along the way. Well, by the time Jesus got to his daughter had passed away. Now, Jesus worked miracles up until the time that he got to his daughter, but when he got to his daughter, Jesus did, of course, raise her from the dead. But the question I want to pose this afternoon or this morning is, what if Jesus comes to your scenario and he decides not to raise you or your loved one back from the dead? Do you have life insurance? Are you prepared? Do you have everything in place to know that when that time comes for you or someone close to you or someone you have to make a decision for, are you prepared for it? Just think about it for a few minutes, because ultimately I've been in the business for a long time. I'm 28. I've been in it since 10, so y'all do the math. We as humans can never wrap our mind around what happens during death. My 4-year-old son asked me, he knows he's at a funeral home, "Daddy, what happens to them?" And all I can tell him is that they're asleep. But even the span between 4 and 28, neither one of us fully understands what really happens. So I want to, number one, put out a couple of terms about life insurance. Life insurance, the most probably known term that we know, whole life. All right? That's where you basically have an insurance agent. You make monthly installments, And let's just say now funerals roughly 8 to 10 grand for traditional arrangements. You pay on that whole life policy once a month for the remainder of your life, whole life, pretty much. All right. So when now you do get better rates when you are younger. Don't wait till you are 45 on blood pressure medicine and you got to shoot shots and you're going to have health issues because you're going to pay a whole lot of money. All right. Take that insurance policy out when you're Corey's age and you're doing Zumba every day and you're completely healthy. All right. And that way you're paying $25 a month for $25,000, $30,000 versus waiting later having a higher premium and less coverage. Okay. Now, when you also have another term called term life insurance. Okay, where you are covered from the age of, I'm just throwing numbers out, from 25 to 45. And after 45, you are no longer covered. So you pay on that insurance for 20 or 30 years, and that's that term. And then following that term, guess what? You no longer have access to that policy. Okay. Number 3, we have now what we call pre-needs. That's basically for end of life, for people who can't get coverage, or people who have health issues where they just can't. Let's just say you have the AIDS virus, or you just have a virus that you can't get rid of, and the doctors say you have this amount of time to live. Insurance will not cover most of those individuals. And so that's where pre-needs come. When you can come to the funeral home, you basically pick out what it is that you want, whether it be cremation, whether it be traditional arrangements, whether you want Jay-Z at your funeral, whatever it is that you want, you can pick it out at that time, put a price on it, and it will be what we call inflation proof. All right, inflation proof means that if a funeral is $7,000 in 2024, in 2042, that funeral will still be the same amount, or you will still be paying the same amount of money. Okay, I want to pause right here and see if we have any questions about anything that I've covered so far.
Why would anybody opt for term life insurance versus whole life?
Sure. Now, I will say a lot of people, more than a little bit, invest. Life insurance is an investment. It's not always used for end of life and final expenses. So some people use it as far as investment. I don't touch term. I don't touch term. With me being in the funeral business now, apart from the funeral business for myself, maybe, but me processing it itself, we do not touch. I don't touch term. We only touch whole. But more so than a little bit, a lot of people use it for investment. All right, that's a good question because all of the monies that you take out for life insurance does not have to be used for your funeral. All right, let's just say you have. Do you have any children? No children. All right, let's just say you got a niece. All right, and she's 25 and she's the best thing you got, and you know that she's going to be successful, and you know that you would like to leave her money if something happened to you. All right. Your funeral only came out to $10,000, but you purchased a $50,000 policy. The funeral home would only take an assignment out $10,000, she would get $40,000. Let's just say your niece had a business plan that would automatically give her $40,000 to start her business. And that's actually a low number compared to a lot of banks, compared to a lot of investors. A lot of people get into the millions with life insurance, and that puts someone passing away, puts another person in a whole nother tax bracket when someone passes. Do we have any more questions? Yes.
So I'm just gonna trickle back. So what is the one thing that you love about your job? What is it that you love about your job?
Helping others, number one. And I know that's a very broad answer, but it's that feeling, that passion that I talked about in my heart, that I know if I did not get paid for it, I will still show up. And actually, when you love what you do, I want y'all to remember this, don't forget it. Cliche, but don't forget it. If you love what you do, you won't work a day in your life.
I'm gonna piggyback off of that. What's the hardest part of your job?
Hardest part of my job. So it used to be that I just loved the business so much and there was just no part of it that I just really felt any kind of way about. It's because when you're raised in something, it just becomes second nature. All right. There's actually two things. It's very hard. Number one is that it used to be that when people passed away, I didn't know who they were. They were just people. All right. It was not until I started rubbing shoulders with individuals and getting older, and that the same people that I had relationships with, when the nurse calls me and they say, Whitfield, we have a decedent. We have someone that passed away, and we want you to come get the body. I never know whose name you're going to say on the other side of that phone. And so the hardest part is keeping your composure and still being able to function and still being able to serve that family, even when another name that you know might be called. Second part is children. All right. It was not until I had my own children where I put myself in this family's shoes. And I understood that, wow, this is a 2-year-old. This is not supposed to happen. There's a word in the dictionary for a husband who loses a wife. There's a word in the dictionary for a wife who loses a husband. There's even a word in the dictionary for a child who loses their parent. But there's no word in the dictionary for a parent who loses a child. Funeral services, I'll come back to you in 1 second. It's of its own beast. It's an entrepreneurship. It's just like today. I plan to have a row full of people with us today. Well, literally, we're about to walk out the door, and the phone rings. Someone that just transitioned. They were on hospice, and they had to go there. All right, so literally, for those of you who are planning to go into entrepreneurship, just not even funeral business, but entrepreneurship at Lucky. Now, Corey will not answer his phone when I call him, so I don't need to put him in the equation. But it's a 24/7. You never know. Even if you are a bakery, you're gonna say, "Well, my bakery is only open from 9 to 5." Listen, baby, your business is 24/7. Okay. What happens when it's 7 o'clock at night and someone got their 5-year-old birthday party tomorrow and they're calling you to have a cake ready by 12 noon? What are you gonna do? You got two choices. All right. Your first choice is to say, "Nope, I can't do it." That'll be the last time that they patronize your business. Second choice is, I think you need to be getting up with your bonnet on, heading your way to the We had a question over here.
So you talked about the entrepreneurship side and the business aspect of it, but what if, let's say that you inspire someone today and they want to look into mortuary science, but they're not sure if it's for them, what should they do?
Absolutely. It's a great question. I advise anyone that would be interested to, now, there is what funeral services look like, and there's what it really is, all right? Most people see the buildings, they see the cars, they see the suits, they see the shiny shoes, but they don't see the real work that goes on behind closed doors. So I would challenge any one of you, before you even make a decision, I open my doors, come shadow me. Come and see if this is something that you are really, really interested in. And I will make a way. I'll make a way. I don't discriminate. Yes.
Well, can you talk a little about who mentored you or
Absolutely.
who was it that you mentored?
Sure. So I talked about at the tender age of 10 how I started with Swenson Funeral Home right here in Kinston. Great people. I absolutely love them. And I give them their flowers while they're still here because they gave me a chance. If anybody go to a funeral home right now and it's a 10-year-old little boy and you tell them you want to work, probably slim, very slim if they're going to let you in, especially because I was not a part of their family. I was an outsider coming in. And so I snuck in there and they took me up under their wings. Now, a lot of things that I did was not because they asked me. A lot of things I did because I watched and I was hungry for what I did. And not even to the point where I surpassed, but some things they didn't even see. The owner, are y'all listening? The owner that I was working for, I had vision that they did not have. Because I knew where the business currently was, and I knew where it had the potential to be. All right, so even with you working your jobs, even with you being in school right now, your teacher can be teaching you one thing, but ultimately understand that you can have a vision that can surpass what, now you can have the book sense and the smartness, but you also have to have another part of that with that passion that beats in your heart for everything that you, because you might make innovation, For the very thing that the teacher is teaching you, the very thing that you're learning in your classes, is the very thing that you could surpass with the vision, because that's what you were born to do in your ministry of serving. But I'm thankful for the Swinsons and giving me an opportunity to just grow my wings and just to fly. Here we are. Very thankful. Absolutely.
How do you, hope that your business, Woodfield Mortuary, will impact future generations?
Absolutely. So I have an ingredient that most people don't have. All right. Most people want to see the business plan. Most people want to see the projections. But I have an ingredient called God and Jesus. And as long as I acknowledge Him in my business and I keep Him first, I have no worries that my business will thrive. That it will go for generations to come. Even if my children are not interested, someone will come along and make sure that this business stays afloat. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because currently, right now, not a one-man show, but I'm getting off the ground. So if you call me at 2 o'clock in the morning, who are you going to talk to? Whitfield. All right. When that funeral home needs to open at 6:30, or I need to meet someone there at 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the morning, you're going to see Whitfield. I'm that person until the business gets to the point where we have grown and we have matriculated to be able to have other people to come and do those things. So no doubt, but I have the key ingredient. Don't tell everybody else, but it's Jesus.
So like you said, a lot of people don't see the behind the scenes of the business side of everything. We always see the end result. What is it like, kind of seeing other today with policies, procedures, and stuff like dealing with insurances and stuff like that?
So what is your question?
Just like when it comes to the business side, like staying up to date, making sure that you're following certain things, whether it be laws or anything like that, versus what maybe a family member might ask for.
So we have what we call CEUs. That's pretty much with any business, where it's like continuing education. Basically, just staying up every year. We have a certain amount, 5 credit hours per year, where we're staying up on those things. More so in this business, there's not a lot that changed. Right? More so is your integrity. What happens when no one else is watching? Because ultimately, and I told the family this a couple weeks ago, I said, you trusted me with your loved one when your loved one couldn't even speak back. That's trust. That's a lot of responsibility. So from that body to the paperwork to the insurance to whatever needs to be done, integrity is the largest word. And you can be schooled all day, but screwing things up behind the scenes. So more so integrity would be the word to answer your question. Y'all real serious? Can we get some smiles?
I do have a question. So, you started with Swinson years ago. Now that you have your business coming on 2 years, what would you say would be different than your funeral home in Swinson, Albritton, Williams Memorials now, J.B. Rose? What would be your difference in how you operate than what you see?
So, one word to answer your question, and I'll come back to that in a second. So all of these other funeral homes, there's one difference between all of the other funeral homes and myself. Now, we bury people, we put people in caskets, we embalm, we provide insurance, we have limousines, we have buildings, we have a lot of connections. There's one word that separates them. Now, can I say I'm any better? No, I can't say I'm any better. Now, it's a poor frog that will not break his own pond. But if you put us all on the same roster, I'm going to stand out for one reason. And that one word is because I'm hungry. And because I'm first generation. So all of these other funeral homes in town, they are generational. All right? They are only in the business because Daddy started it, because Granddaddy started it, and they ran out of options for college. They wanted to do other things, but they were not successful. So they came back home to the family business where they knew that they would be accepted. And so here I am because I'm grinding. I'm literally the one that's cultivating this business off of the ground. And so I'm here because I want to be, not because it was last resort, not because it just fell on me, not because I was pressured, but because I want to be. That's good.
Yes, sir.
Any more questions? I'm gonna take you first. I'll take you first.
Can you talk about the benefits or the joy of being aligned in your path in life?
You want me to talk about the benefits?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if we really put pros and cons together, it's ultimately rewarding. But there are more cons than it is pros. Because in Kiera, I'm sorry y'all, this is my girlfriend Kiera. She probably is upset with me more than a little bit than happy with me. All right. We can be out eating, and I'm literally sitting at the table on the phone discussing God knows what, and her face turns red because hang up the phone. And I'm like, who else is gonna talk to this family? I gotta talk to them. And so there are a lot of benefits. They're so rewarding when a family can call me back after the funeral and say, Shannon, I absolutely thank you for everything you've done. My mom, my grandma, my brother, my sister, they look just like they were asleep. I do have a message right quick that just really came through this week from a family. This came through on Monday, I believe it was. It says, about this time last year, I was calling you to tell you that my baby didn't make it. I was devastated. I'll never forget how concerned you were and how you said, I got you. I'm here for you, whatever you need. I'll never forget watching you take her on that pink blanket and pillow instead of a body bag. And I will always remember how much you cared and will forever be grateful for you. My baby left here looking at peace. My heart aches for her loss. I needed to thank you again. We felt so supported and loved. Those are the benefits in a nutshell.
Why did you choose to come here to open your business?
Great question. A couple of things that my biography did not state. Upon graduating high school, I moved to Charlotte for a little bit, and I absolutely love the city. Okay, if I had a choice of choosing somewhere to go, that would be it right now. All right. I lived in Charlotte for a little bit. I wanted to make that my home, and that was before I got my license. That was before I became a licensed funeral. I was just working for another funeral home at that time. So I got a taste of night and day between what mom and pop funeral homes was like and what the city funeral homes was like, night and day. All right. Then I moved to Fayetteville to actually go to school in class to get my license. That was a whole nother beast because of military city in Fayetteville. Funeral cultures, what they believed. If we're in Kinston, I know that we got a Baptist funeral. All right. If we're in Fayetteville and I go in someone's home, I really don't know if they're Jehovah's Witness. I don't know if they're Catholic. I don't know. So we can't holler Jesus all the time and not knowing what they believe. So I put everything together, and I realized that Kinston was a warm funeral tradition. All right. And I absolutely wanted to give that warm treatment because in the city, people they just want to get you in and get you out. You're only a number. And so there was no way I was going to be able to serve each family the way I wanted to in a fast-paced city where you have cremation rates rising every day. And then secondly, I made my deciding factor because at the time I did not have children, but now I do, and all of them were in Kinston and Goldsboro. So I did not want to stretch between the two of them. I needed everybody to be in one place. So Kinston it is. Any more questions?
So you said that if we call, we're gonna get you. So are really a one-man show, or do you have people that assist you?
I do have people that assist me when they answer the phone.
I feel you.
But yes, I do have a staff, but I'm the only licensed person on staff at the moment. All right, so when you call and you're irritable and that one of your loved ones have just passed away, nothing is more irritating than you talking to someone that doesn't know the business. All right, your mama or whomever is literally on the floor, 911 couldn't revive her, you're frantic-y, and you need to know what to do because they just told you to choose a funeral home. You really don't know who to call. You call me. You don't want to be asked a whole lot of irrelevant questions. You just know that you want Whitfield to get your mama out of this floor, and you need it to happen within a timely manner. So I'm training people to do that right now, but I need to make sure that I'm giving you that comfort to know that we are on the way, and give you the comfort knowing that everything's okay, and that we'll be there shortly. But yes, we are working on it. Are we accepting job applications today? I mean, you looking for a job?
She is honest.
You call me.
How is the trend towards predation affecting your business model?
So it affects it tremendously, simply because you have people who basically, or other funeral homes, who have their own crematoriums, and what they are doing is lowering the price margin for cremations. All right. So night and day, and I'm sure they wouldn't mind me saying this, I have a competitor that's literally across the street from me. All right. My direct cremations are $1,295, $1,295. All right. A family can go across the street and they're going to pay $2,500 to $3,000 for that same direct cremation. And so it's affecting us to the point where I wish that we could all be on the same level cremation price-wise. But people are literally choosing cremation just because of the pricing. And so it's something that I'm putting together in my mind right now for business model-wise to evaluate. But cremation has, basically, if I get 10 people, 7 of them probably will be cremated. And 20 years ago, that would be unspoken of. That's like the don't do it scenario. But just because times are changing, things are becoming more accepted. Here we are. Yes.
So in this room, there's a diverse age group of people, as you can see. So when you talk about funeral services, what does that look like on a daily basis? Like, what do you actually do for families? So just in case some of them might be still thinking about what they want to do.
Sure. So it's funny that you asked that because the world paints this picture of me sitting in a suit at the conference table with people and it just being a box of Kleenex at the middle of it. It just doesn't happen that way. All right. Now, when a family comes, basically, I meet with them. A little one has passed away. I have mama, I have girlfriend, I have the wife, I have the stepchildren, I have the outside children, and then I have little Bobo. All right. We're all sitting around the table to plan funeral arrangements for their loved one. And I'm trying to figure out, I'm sitting here and trying to figure out the dynamics of everyone in the room. Now, I know ultimately that spouse is probably the next of kin, but guess what? That spouse might not be the beneficiary for money. Guess what? He probably got pissed off with his wife, and he switched over the beneficiary to his girlfriend. And so that means that the girlfriend has money in her hand for his funeral arrangements. But guess what? I can't overstep the wife because she's the next of kin. So what do? I can't piss off the girlfriend. I can't piss off the wife. So what do? So I sit there and shake my head, and I understand everybody's side. Because ultimately, a funeral director just does not handle the body. The funeral director also becomes a listening ear. We want to listen twice and to speak once. And so to keep that room together, I have to tell everyone, number one, I can't satisfy everybody. But what I want you to do is hear your loved one's voice. What would you think he would want? What do you think she would want? I think you want to be cremated. I think you want to be... we're not doing all that. When we get it together, I think we should all come as one. Now, we all not going to get our way, but ultimately we're going to meet halfway and figure this thing out. So, funeral service is not a cute thing. It's about listening. It's about thinking really quick and coming up with a solution. All right? My day never ends. All right? The office closes technically at 5, but what happens when you have someone that says, I'm on the way to get my mama's cremated remains, and I don't get off work until 5:30. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm coming from Rocky Mount. Do I say, look, you know, you just can't. Yeah. Somebody's gonna have to be there to get those cremated remains to their loved one. And then I had a date at 7 o'clock, and I'm not even dressed for it, and so that just messes up. That just messes the whole house up. And so it's a sacrifice at the end of the day, and more so having a mate that respects the business, in your whatever business it is. And so more so never ending. I do want to hit on this before I take any more questions. At large, general knowledge. The job that you're applying for, I don't want you to dress like the job you have. I want you to dress like the job you want. All right? I know what a student looks like, but what if there are people that ultimately want to hire you already? Is that the guy that sacks his pants? Is that the guy that just doesn't care, wears his hoodie and headphones all day? Or is he that attentive student that pay attention to small details? I need you to take those things into consideration. And also, secondly, I have people that call the funeral home every day. I need a job. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you look like. I don't know what you believe. So for those of you who are either seeking employment or just trying to progress in life, period, you got a scholarship you applying for, and you calling the number on the paper, maybe not. Show up. Dress your best. Put your clothes on. Show up to that office. Show up to that counselor. Because they need to see your face. They need to see the quality. Because let's just say you have 10 people that apply for the same position that you applied for. Who's going to get it? The person that showed up. You may be more qualified than they are over the phone, but they can't see your qualities over the phone. I've had people come to me and say, Shannon, I want to work at the funeral home. I want to be one of those pallbearers. Well, we all know that a pallbearer is just someone who carries a casket at a funeral. So that lets me know that you're not even knowledgeable about my business already. So that, no, next. All right? So those are two things I wanted to begin you guys really quick. Do you have any more questions? Yes?
If someone was to want to show you, is there an age requirement?
No age requirement, but there is a waiver that I would have you to sign. Now, I will say probably 18 plus, just for me. It's not a state law or a regulation, but I would say for myself 18 plus. So, because ultimately, behind those closed doors are sacred moments, right? They are private moments that are just, they're not broadcasted in the world. And so ultimately, very cautious about what takes place behind those closed doors. Because ultimately, that's someone's loved one, that's someone's grandmother, and that's ultimately they are passed away, but that's still the house that they lived in, and I still value it.
Do you either provide a service or a packet for like maybe if you wanted to pre-plan your funeral?
Absolutely, good question. I do. Basically, and I want to challenge 5 of you in here. Don't know what 5. I have business cards and all those things here. Where even if you're not even interested in my services as a funeral home, I would challenge you to just come and set up an appointment and talk about what you have and what you don't have, what you want and what you don't want. Because you'll be surprised, I've sat down with many people and they say, oh Shannon, I'm covered, I'm good, and I call them in. We sit down and look at their policy and realize it's a term policy, and they're 65. So ultimately they end up not covered. And so it's good that we, sit down and look at what policy, because ultimately the lingo that we use in the funeral business is not lingo that the general public uses. And so when you sign over, all you know is that you have a policy. And you put it in the file cabinet, you haven't looked at it since. And so I challenge at least 5 of you in here, even if it's not a lot of you, but 5 of you. Let's come, talk to me. I'll come to you if you don't even want to come to the funeral home. And let's just make sure that all of your business is intact and good. I don't care how old you are. Let's do it. I have you in and out in no time. All right. I think we had another question somewhere over here.
It was me.
Yes.
So could you speak a little bit about the science that you do each day, like facial reconstruction and things like that, because sometimes people don't understand that that is a part of funeral services.
Absolutely. So there is what we are used to. Everybody knows what we look like. Everybody knows what Miss Tinley looks like. All right. Everybody knows her makeup looks good. Her hair is laid every day, and she's never a blemish anywhere. All right. But what happens when someone that we know is in a car accident and the car disfigures their face? At that point, I have to make a decision. This goes back to your question of what my day looks like. So after I get done fighting with this family, I have to also step to the back room and unzip the body bag and look at that person, and they don't look like the picture that the family just told me to put on Facebook for their loved one. Or they've been on the ventilator for 2 months because the doctor gave them a false hope of their loved one living, and they're absolutely swollen from fluid or edema, is what we call it. What do we do when we have someone who fought cancer over the span of years and they've lost a lot of weight? And we know what they look like when they were healthy, but all of this time that they've suffered in cancer has fought them and their bodies. They've now passed away, and they're only skin and bone. So that's another part of the business that I absolutely love. There are horror stories of funeral homes, and I absolutely hate it. Funeral homes have the stigma of people looking dead, people looking not like themselves, and people accept it. The general public accept it because they just think they absolutely have to. Well, that's another part of me. Now, I will say, to answer your question, it's another part of my business that's different from most others. I am the reconstruction god. I want to take nothing and make something out of it. Most families, they'll call me, Whitfield, we don't want to view, we don't want to see her. And my question is why? Well, she lost so much weight, and we just don't want. I said, give me a chance. Give me a chance. Let me see what I have to work with. I promise you. And then they come in, and nothing's more rewarding than them looking at their mom, and then they look back at me and says, I want everybody to see her. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. And that's how I can go home and rest, knowing that I've taken something that was probably their worst nightmare, because at that point, that family had already decided that they were not going to have the closure that they needed. Because we've already accepted she's not going to look good. We're just going to have a closed casket and be done. But no, we have to shift that. And I'm thankful that, and this thing, you can't go to school. And you can go to school for it, get the degrees, but it's in my hands. It's ministry. And I'm anointed to do this, because most people, you get straight A's in mortuary school, but you still won't have that touch. All right? And I'm thankful for that touch and the anointing that makes a difference. And I will give you the definition of the anointing after this is over.
I have a question. What was your assignment as a 10-year-old? Your first funeral, what did you do?
It's very, I don't remember a lot of it. I do remember it was at a church. It was very hot. It was packed. And I stood outside. That's about all I can remember. And I was just fascinated. And so small details I really don't remember. But I just knew it was a packed church. And stood outside. And thinking I was stuck. Not knowing anything. So that's about it. So what time do we have? 12:19. We got about 10 more minutes. All right. Anybody else? Yes.
Can you talk about your schooling and what?
My schooling?
Yeah, with that process.
Yeah. So this gets back to the decisions that you make every day. They're not going to be perfect. So case in point was I went to school. I started school online. All right. I was still working for the funeral home. I'm also a musician. I became busy that when I sat down to do a paper that was due at 12 midnight, it was like 11:38. And I was not doing well. So I moved from online schooling. That's why I moved to Fayetteville, so I could be in the classroom, get that stuff done, and knock it on out. Because ultimately, I did not want to be a bootleg funeral director. All right, because you have people that just work at the funeral home. They're not a funeral director. They just work there. They're just assistants. But I saw much more in myself than just existing working for someone else. So the program was 2 years at Fayetteville Tech. Now for me, it was probably about 4 years because I wasted about 2 years of schooling. But the program itself is 2 years. Now minus those who may be coming in with transfer credits. So just depends on the credits you have, your English, your math, your sciences, and all those things. So 2 years for the cheerio.
So what do those courses look like? So like an intro to, do they have a business course built into it? So from like a student perspective, what are those courses?
Those courses, so you have your foundation, your simple pre-req classes, your English, your math, your sciences, all those things that you have to even obtain a degree in anything. And then you get into your intro to funeral services, basically giving the history of funeral services. You also have your sciences, which just gives you basically anatomy of the body, learning your physique pretty much. Now, again, all of those things does not prepare you for the business. Basically, if you had a 4.0 at mortuary school, you graduated, got your funeral director's license, you stepped into the funeral home, you need to get construction. So, but as long as you had your prereqs, then you have things like your culture learning classes and all those things, because what you don't want to do is basically offend anyone, because you're speaking about Jesus and there's Buddha and they believe, learning those types of things. So it's pretty much Miss Bates, you ain't got no question?
I was just gonna ask, the board funeral, they have CUs often. Have you ever considered teaching a class?
I have not. Simply because, well, I have not, because you have to have your license for 5 years to be able to basically have a shadow under you as far as like another licensed funeral director. And so I'm at year 2. All right, so have 3 more years. Today actually makes 2 years since I've been a licensed funeral director. It's coming. I actually talked to a state board representative yesterday. I said, put my name on the document for the state board, all right? So it's coming. It's coming. Tom is everything. Anyone else?
I do have a question. So for those that want to volunteer or feel like this is what they want to do, how can you encourage them as far as the day-to-day funeral? What is the duty of your employers? What is it?
My employers are funeral home employees. So no, duties of literally it ranges. It really does. I can't even start to name everything that we have to do, from the initial pickup of deceased individuals, to going to pick up death certificates, from taking flowers to a family's home, to coordinating pallbearers, to coordinating the obituary, to posting the online obituary, to posting graphics for the obituary, coordinating with the cemetery, coordinating transport to the funeral, and the list continues. So the job is never done. But, right. I think it's almost that time. I really appreciate you guys so much for entrusting me to be one of your Black History speakers. Let's give it up for Black History Month. I stated earlier, I challenge at least 5 of you. I don't care who you are. You don't even have to, be interested in my services, but I more so want to know that your families and you are covered, knowing that you are headed in the right direction. For you upcoming ones, young adults, I wish you the best. The sky is the limit. Follow your heart. Don't do anything because the money's there. Do it because it's in your heart. All right, we appreciate y'all. Thank you so much.
So I just want to say two things. I also am not a person that likes talking about funeral services, but like Mr. Whitfield says, it's something that's going to happen to everyone. So discussing it early, knowing what your options are is super important. Even when you're young, talk to your parents and find out what their situation is or what your coverage is, because you never know what situation you'll be in. Second, we have something for you, Mr. Whitfield. It's not money, but it's something just to say thank you for coming, imparting your wisdom and knowledge, and then you'll have your cards.
Yes.
Okay. So he'll have his cards if anybody wants to take one. Feel free. I'm hoping that every week you guys get something that you can take with you and use, something that you'll remember, and it will help enhance your life somehow. So it's not just about celebrating Black history, it's about celebrating the people that are in our communities, that are here to help us and serve us, and also learning something new. So I definitely learned today about funeral services. And I just want you guys to take something every week. So each week we have a speaker. Next week we have Dr. Snipe McPhail coming for chiropractic care. And then at the end of the month we're discussing cryotherapy. So all these things will help you. I said last week, I should have had the funeral director at the end to tell you if you don't get the things ahead, that you're going to see him real soon. So we want you to stay with us as long as possible, but the next two things will help you keep your bodies healthy, okay? So make sure you guys come back next week so you can hear those things, and Mr. Whitfield's here if you have questions or if you want to start. Thank you guys.